Welcome back to Struggle and Strive. I'm your host, Estel Wallace. We've got a fantastic interview for you today. I just sat down with Brandon Lee. He's an author, speaker, and entrepreneur. He left a career in journalism to form an art studio. He is now the founder and CEO of Art of Our Soul, where he works in behavioral health and helps people not only with substance use disorders, but people with serious mental illness. And it's grown exponentially. It's even being adopted into the prison system. You're going to love today's interview. Let's dive in. Now, I wouldn't say that I don't fear death, but I've been coming to a greater place of resignation around it in the last several years. I think that for me, the push-pull is not primarily like, oh, I don't want to die and stop having this experience. Like, I'm not ready to end the experience with my children, with my wife, with so many of the relationships I have.
Right.
Not to mention all the work I feel like I have to do. Whether that's professionally or not, it's really like, how many more men I can help find the light.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's a lot more to do.
I feel that too. That's why I don't fear death regardless. And I tell everybody who's around me in my very tight, small, it's like a life choice that I make. I have the smallest circle of friends, the smallest, definitely by choice. But I tell them all the time, like, if for some reason I decided to script myself out sooner than I thought I would, definitely do not mourn me and take what I've created and go. Go. Because on the other side, I'll be there and you better be experiencing joy and you better be making people smile and stuff. I too, though, feel like I'm like, brother, you've got a long road ahead of me still. I know that. I know that I have a long road.
So you're not afraid on airplanes?
No.
I'm terrified on planes.
You really do?
I had a traumatic experience as a child.
Let's work through that. Let's go back and heal that little boy who had that experience.
Dude, it's tough.
Is it?
Yeah, I've been in therapy for a few years. I've done, 8 years I've been in therapy.
Let's go deeper than talk therapy.
I'm not ready to take any psilocybin. But I am cautiously optimistic for things like psilocybin, like the experience you've had, and we'll get a chance to unpack it.
For sure.
Particularly with trauma. And I would say specifically where there's heavy trauma. I'm thinking PTSD, trauma survivors of all kinds from horrible things, first responders, etc. I know they're making a lot of advancement with ketamine. That's like all the rage right now. Like any new trend, I think that some people are like trying to throw ketamine in everything, which is not the greatest idea. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater necessarily. You know my stance. I'm a 12-stepper. I'm an abstinence-based guy, but that doesn't mean that I think our T-shirt fits everybody.
It doesn't.
It 100% doesn't. I know that.
Just because you run a hugely successful treatment center. So I tell folks, your clinical director would never look at it. Would you say on your website as a clinical director, we have a one-size-fits-all approach to help you heal from your trauma?
Totally.
Would you ever write that?
Of course not.
Of course you wouldn't.
No.
So why would we expect one program to be a one-size-fits-all approach for everyone who has experienced trauma, who may have used substances to numb themselves out from said trauma?
Totally. And you know what? That point that you're making extends beyond just traumatic experiences too. Look at the serious mental illness crisis we have.
Huge.
And I haven't looked at all the data across the country. I can tell you anecdotally, many parts of Phoenix are starting to look like parts of Northern California. And that's not primarily substance use disorder. I don't know the exact data, but I would guess it's 2/3 SMI. Now, some of those are people that if they got sober, if they found a new way to live, got cleaned up, could get off the streets. But most of those folks, I would venture to say, even with a lot of support, are going to be hard to maintain because we're working with, like mature schizophrenia in many cases. And we don't have the answer for that.
We don't have the answer for it right now.
Not right now.
And that is one of our specialty populations that Art of Our Soul has grown into.
Really?
Copa Health is one of our biggest partners in Arizona. They're also one of the largest providers. They have thousands of members with a focus and a specialty working with those diagnosed with serious mental illness. So that is a huge population in which we serve. In fact, they have 3 of our studios inside of their clinics that serve that population. even further than that, our studio that we built out, our holistic healing studio at Lewis Prison Eagle Point Complex, it's only serving incarcerated men with serious mental illness.
I want to just pause. You don't have to pause the recording. I just want to take a moment and just give you a hug.
Oh,
That's what you're doing with for the seriously mentally ill. Gosh, I talk about that with that particular issue with other providers pretty regularly, and in working with the seriously mentally ill population is very, very difficult.
Very challenging.
And it sounds like you found a way to get inside and help. And so many people have not been able to.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
It's something that we don't really focus on here, but we're talking about it. You know what I mean? We're having a lot of conversations about it.
I will tell you this. When I first opened Art of Our Soul, Copa Health joined right at the beginning, as did you, right? So it was like I had like 3 treatment centers that started with me right off the bat. It was Crossroads, Cornerstone, and Copa Health. And the CEO of Copa Health, Dr. Sharna Jaffe-Piper, she is like truly like a soul sister to me now. She's like my chosen family. But at that time, she was just to me the CEO of Copa Health. And she said, we service those diagnosed with serious mental illness. And I told her, I said, I'm not qualified.
Sure.
I said, Shar, I'm not even certified. Like I can't work with that population. And she goes, mind you, she's a clinical psychologist by trade. And she goes, oh, why is that? And I said, well, I don't have all the degrees and the certifications and da-da. And she goes, that's why you're going to make an even bigger impact. She goes, I've gotten to know you a little bit. You have the heart and the empathy and compassion. That will make the biggest difference to them. She goes, one of the challenges that I face as a provider and a CEO is getting some of my doctors to get off of their pedestal. Stop speaking that language. Get down on the same level as the people you're serving and talk to them. And so I said, okay, we'll give this a go. Man, the moment they walked in and I got to just see them and high five them and pull up a stool and talk to them. Here's what I love most about working with people with serious mental illness. They don't care what's happening later today. They only care what's happening about right now in this moment. Do I feel good? Do I like you? Do I feel safe in this environment? They will tell you. Full stop. They will tell you. And so I tell my team, our goal is just to get them to experience joy. And we can snap them out of whatever happened to them on the way here. And to show them that level of empathy and compassion is hugely incredible. And show rates. Like you guys talk about show rates, right? Your outpatient, how many people are showing up to their appointments? It's hugely important if you're running, a clinic. And Shar at Copa Health goes to me, hey, buddy, we've been with you for a year and a half. We have villages, so they actually house the SMI population, which is...
It's a beautiful thing.
I mean, it's housing is healthcare, and she understood that. So they provide housing and services to everybody that they serve. And so what's cool is they live in these villages, and so they get some sort of independent living care. The cool thing is they get a menu of options. They have to choose one. They're not allowed to sit at home, but they have a menu of options that they get to sign up for and do that day. And which is cool. It gives them a sense of independence. So she goes, hey, buddy, listen, the way your program's set up is you get to only see about 15 people. Well, I have thousands of members, so really not making a dent in my population. However, the other problem is this. And I'm like, uh-oh. She goes, you have 100% show rate, meaning that my people are getting into their shuttles and they're coming to you. I need them to come to my clinic. I need them to see their case manager. I need to see them to get their blood work and see their physician, buddy. And so at a couple of dinners, and I said it's almost just sarcastically, I was like, I don't know. What do you want me to do? Build an Art of Our Soul at one of your clinics? And she looked at me and she goes, that's your next business model. And I was like, how does that even work?
And how many are at Copa?
They are on the verge to have 4, 5 by the next 18 months.
It's fantastic.
Right. Because it gets people to show up, and they run 3 to 4 groups a day in the art studio. But it's cool because I'll walk in, I do spot just to go in and check in on them, and the entire session is full. And it's cool because they get to receive the other really critical points of care, their blood work, their lab work, right? Their doctor. They've got it. Those are critically important. But the cool thing is the holistic healing studios that we create, that brings the joy. They get excited to go there. We change the environment, right? We mural it out. We add music. And so it's a place where they can build connection with other people in a really fun, creative way. They get excited to go, but also clinically proven what we do also works scientifically. So it kind of hits all 3 metrics for them. But yeah, it's the model that's kind of taken off in that way.
It's a beautiful thing. Some of the people watching this are going to be familiar with you and what you do. Some are not. I would love to just go through some history real quick. So early part of your career, you were a journalist, news anchor, NBC, who else? ABC?
CBS, NBC, New York City, Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Phoenix.
So you were everywhere, on TV a lot. You got the hair, the eyes, the teeth. You were the golden boy.
Yeah.
So, and I know that you have a heart for people in recovery. You have a heart for people with mental health issues, that you are a trauma survivor. You've written a book about it. It's been out a few years. I read it years ago. Mascara Boy.
Yeah, I need to write a new one, but yes, an updated version for sure.
Ping me when it drops.
Well,
so you've had sort of this journey, both with your head and with your heart in your career, where you've moved away from journalism, and it's not like you went from journalism to like
PR.
Right. You completely shifted verticals drastically. So now you started with one art studio with the intention of what exactly? And what kind of art did you do there?
For sure. So I was a journalist of 22 years, and the last part of my career was 11 years with a station here in the Valley. I was the main evening news anchor. Going on almost 4 years is when I abruptly left that career and started Art of Our Soul. 2020 sucked for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It just sucked for everybody, right? I call it the trifecta, especially for us in news. There was a real trifecta. Obviously, we began with COVID. And the way the entire world, reacted to a virus, we shut down the one thing all humans needed with another person. Connection.
Yeah.
We ripped that away. Yeah. It was just isolate. And there's a reason why when we look back and we have the data now to show that there was a reason why there was a spike in death by suicide, right? And there was a spike in overdoses. We saw all those because we ripped away connection with others. And then as a journalist, there was the social justice movement of the BLM movement that we were involved with. It wasn't easy.
No.
Covering that. It wasn't easy to be part of it. We're also members of our community, but then to also, be reporting on it daily. And then there was the election in Arizona that same year. Arizona became the epicenter of that election.
Right. It was
Maricopa County specifically.
2020 actually got me off social media for 3 years.
It was awful.
I left
awful.
I left social media.
And I couldn't. And
so one human to another, I 1,000%. I understand your reasoning.
It was hard. And so in 2020, it was the darkest moment of my life. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So it was about 3 weeks after the election. I won't go into the details, but I broke. And I had about almost 12 years of continuous recovery in AA.
Sure.
When I was still county time and part of that group. But never in those 11 to 12 years did I ever address the underlying trauma that led me down that path to begin with. I'm a pretty strong-willed dude, okay? So I was able to string together 12 years by doing the steps and working with others. Cool. But I never went deep enough to go back to the childhood experiences that I had that messed up the wiring in my brain that led me to make some pretty terrible life decisions as an adult.
Yeah.
And so in 2020, I broke. And my brain got hijacked. And I'm privileged, Estel. I am privileged. I had therapists. I had a lot of people around me who were sober. I had a sponsor. Did I use any of that?
You've got money and resources. I mean, you got a career. Yeah, you're like a...
The definition of having every resource available to me.
Right.
Did I use it? No. When the brain gets hijacked, you're gone. And so for the first time in those 11, 12 years, I relapsed. For the very first time, I got high on meth. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I never
You weren't
used...
like, I'm going to have a beer. You're like, I'm smoking meth.
Yeah. There was never like that whole thing that they say in AA, like you have one beer, turns into two, turns into six, then leads you back down to your drug. No, I had never used in Arizona. It took me 15 minutes to find it. 15 minutes to find it. Anyway,
Plenty of drugs here.
That relapse lasted 7 hours. The shame. I cannot explain the weight of shame unless you have felt it. It got so dark for me, I didn't tell anybody because of the shame. And then in January 2021, there was no light. None. There was no light at the end of this tunnel anymore.
Yeah.
And so the suicidal ideation kicked in. There was just no purpose to live anymore. It's when I got into working with a therapist to do deep breath work. And deep breath work every Tuesday for 2 hours. It's a long deep breath work session if you've ever done it. But if you don't, it's similar to EMDR. Okay, the science behind it. You can distract the frontal lobe, get to the amygdala, and begin to have flashbacks of what happened to myself as a child, right? And going back and telling that little boy who was so hurt and so scared from abuse and neglect and the things that I experienced when I was a child, to go back in each one of those breathwork sessions and tell little B, listen, I got you. I'm going to get you out of this environment. Follow me. And it was only 4 months into that intense work that's when I had, and going back to your original question about the art, that's when I started having visions of artwork. I was still a newscaster in April 2021. So I was still in the news, but I was doing this breath work and I was healing that inner child and I was becoming super sensitive. And I started just exploring art, and I turned a guest room into an art room, started playing around with paint. And 8 months later, still doing breath work, I had a vision, and it was just like, dude, you're not living your life's purpose. This isn't it. And I was so sensitive, peeling back all those layers. It was hard for me to deliver the news. It was so dark to be reporting on teachers molesting children and this person being murdered and this person being killed. I would come home at night and I literally would hover over the sink and I would dry heave.
Yeah, I don't watch the news. I actually don't even. I read. Have you ever heard of 1440?
No.
That's the year the printing press was invented, and there's an email that goes out every day from 1440, and it's like a nonprofit. They just do like global headlines. So I know what happened in the world yesterday, but I don't really do the drill down.
I made a promise to myself that I would never watch local news or national news ever again. I'm coming up on 4 years. I haven't watched 1 minute. It's the most peaceful thing in my life.
Isn't it great?
People don't understand. And then they're like, here's some of the reaction. Oh, now you're ignorant. Oh, don't even go there with me. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to then teach them a life principle. Hey, listen, I have come to this understanding, Estel. I cannot change the world. What is happening overseas and over in Europe, or what's happening in other parts of the country and those things. Brandon Lee is just this one individual here. I cannot change that today. However, I absolutely have control what is going on in my world. And if what is happening and what I control in my world is having a positive influence on people, then that will have a ripple effect of positive energy and karmic energy being spread to others. That is what I have control over. So today, I have control over, am I going to help somebody make somebody smile? Are the people who are going to my studios right now at one of our franchises, are they experiencing joy, hydro dipping, and creating a new hat for summer? Are they enjoying themselves and building connection? Because that's what I have control over, Estel. And so that's what I focus on. It has brought a level of peace to my life that I cannot tell you. I wish I could like transfer that to other people.
It sounds like you've picked a good battle.
Yeah, it did.
To help. Dude, I'm in a very similar boat. I've relegated myself away from all of the world's clatter. I mean, by 99%. I'm like I said, I read a little bit. I see the global headlines, but yeah. And I've had people like, "Oh, so you're uninformed?" It's like,
No.
Wait, am I supposed to be mad all day?
Yeah, correct.
Because I don't want to be. I have a family to raise.
For sure.
We're helping more people than we've ever helped before.
For sure.
I mean, my attention is needed here. My attention is needed helping people. And that's the battle I've chosen. I've chosen to fight drug addiction and mental health.
I get it.
Kudos.
And that's my
to
thing.
you.
And, you know, people ask me all the time, they're like, well, that was pretty ballsy for you just to quit your job as a news anchor and open up an art studio. And okay, Leah, I don't really reflect. So sometimes people are like, man, do you ever reflect like what you're doing today? Like that in the prisons, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I haven't. I don't think I want to yet because I never want to stay. To me, I just like, no, I want to keep going. I have such a larger, broader vision of what I want to do. Like, I'll reflect like in 10 years.
Yeah.
But if I had to look back really quick and look back at what I did at that career change, yeah, I guess from an outside, it was kind of ballsy. Totally. I get it. However, at that time, it did not feel ballsy. I knew I couldn't do news anymore. Like I physically in my body, the body response, like I couldn't do it anymore. And I didn't care. And all I knew is I wanted to open up a little art studio. And I shared the dream with you before it ever opened. We were at a restaurant. I shared this dream with you. And I said, I'm just going to open up this little studio, man. I just want to help other people in recovery heal in the way that art and music has made me feel in my road from my darkness. And I opened up. I built it by myself. I quit my job. And in a month, I built the place by hand. Flooring walls, everything. I did it myself, and I opened up the very first Art of Our Soul. And I didn't care. I was like, Brandon, you have a little condo. My mortgage at that time was $1,200 a month. I'm like, bro, you'll make it. Like, I'll survive. I can afford that. I'll just have this little art studio, and I'll live like this. I'm totally cool with that. I had no dream starting that art studio that it would be what it is today. None. I didn't care. And, you know, it's taken off. And so, but what I'll tell you is this. My healer / therapist, he saw that when my company was having a lot of success, he noticed that I was giving a lot away. I was giving away like $15,000 art pieces, just giving stuff away. And he goes, I love that. Cool. Do you have shame that you're doing well? And I said, a lot. I don't feel like I should be making money helping people.
It's an interesting topic.
And he goes, fascinating. Let's work through that. I said, okay. He goes, Brandon, I'm going to teach you a life lesson, and I hope you think about this and hopefully understand this. Two things can be true. You can do a lot of good, and you can make a lot of money. He goes, Brandon, I know what you left to start Art of Our Soul. People looked at you like you were crazy. How are you going to walk away from this 6-figure job at that time to open up an art studio and teach people how to paint? I know what you left. And I worked with you through the whole thing. Never once was it ever about money. So I know what your true intentions were from the very beginning. So I will remind you of that. He goes, secondly, if you were not blessed with the success of Art of Our Soul, how could you grow and help other people? Brandon, like a doctor, if a doctor creates a modality that's working and he creates a device that works, why would that doctor not want to share that device with the rest of the world to impact so many more people? In order to do that, you have to have money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really helped me kind of better understand and always stay focused of the purpose.
It's a beautiful thing. I don't get a ton of it, although I have experienced some of it over the years with what we do. Like, what are you guys selling? $20,000 big books over here? I've heard that comment before. But you're touching on a nerve that it's not just people that work in healing type industries. It's also people of various faiths. I know people from various religious sects that deal with the same thing. They feel very guilty about doing well in their respective careers. And I don't subscribe to the belief that in order to be spiritual or to be doing something fulfilling or to be helping or to be fulfilling like my life's purpose, that I have to be broke to do it. I don't believe that.
Yeah. Mine goes back to, I think I know where it comes from, the Catholic roots, right? The nuns and the churches that I used to go to school with, right?
Sure.
They do a lot of good, but they don't make money, right? Like the nurses themselves and stuff
Interesting.
like that. And like you look at Mother Teresa, right? And you look at those icons that you grow up in the Catholic
Interesting.
school and you look at, and they're very poor.
Saintly. Very saintly to be
very
poor.
saintly, right? But they're helping so many people.
Yeah.
There was never the case of like a really like wealthy person or somebody with money helping other people. Like that was never given to us as an idea going back. That was rooted in my childhood experience, maybe for others, but not from my childhood Catholic parochial school experience.
Yeah, for me, I left home at 17, and I was the house I grew up in, I'm adopted. They were middle class, so they weren't poor, but they were from the silent generation, so we lived very frugally. So we lived like we were poor. No stones to throw at them. Those are their choices. Nothing wrong with being frugal. But so we had the basics, but no extras growing up. And then I left home and was in deep poverty until I was in my early 30s. So for me, when I was getting sober, when I was, I should fix my teeth, I should fix my credit, like trying to figure out how to be a grown up. I wouldn't say I idolized, but I was fascinated with the possibility that I might not have to be poor my whole life. That maybe I too could make something in my life. So kudos to you.
Thanks. Yeah. I'll share this with other people too.
Because what you're doing is beautiful. Not to cut you off, but what you're doing is beautiful.
Thank you.
And there's nothing wrong with being able to support yourself by helping. And like your therapist or healer said, it gives you a broader platform to touch more lives.
And I believe that.
Christians struggle with that stuff. It's like
I don't anymore, and I think because I know the true intent, and like just to make sure people even know, like I still teach the art classes, right? I run that's a growing company.
Yeah.
I still teach. I actually still scrub the toilets after a class leaves if I teach that class. So like after Crossroads, we had Crossroads dudes in there yesterday. I truly am the first guy in there, and I just scrub the toilets really quick after the session leaves. Like anybody who works for me, I always tell them, I don't care what role you're in, you will always teach at least once a week. Your hands will always be, because you will never lose the intention of what we're doing at this company. Because the moment you're not covered in paint, or your hands aren't leaving with paint on them, you're going to lose a sense of purpose and the vision of what we're all about. And I always tell two people, if you're ever thinking about, God, we can have a whole conversation about if you're ever thinking about starting your own company, but if you go into something with the intent of good, like if your intent is good, good things will happen. I don't chase money. I grew up in Laguna Beach, California. Newport Beach, California. It's a pretty beautiful part. I grew up around money. So let me tell you, I know from my lived experience, money does not bring happiness.
No, money just solves money problems.
Money does not. And because I grew up around it, but I was also hurt as a little kid around money. I was hurt. And so I don't chase it because I know that that's not what brings me joy and happiness. So I'm grateful. Like I love the stories of people who came from nothing and built something amazing. Like I love that so much for them, because it takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of courage and a lot of unlearning to be able to do that. Myself, I am grateful for the experiences, the bad experiences I had when I was a child, because those were the lessons I needed to learn to live the life that I have today. So you want to talk about like having this like spiritual belief that I have, and it really helped me lose all resentment towards my family. And trust me, brother, when I was in the AA program, I did those damn steps so many times, and I can't tell you how many times I turned that damn page over on my mother and father, and it never healed me.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what finally did. I have a belief system that we write these soul contracts before we enter this earth. I believe that I chose my mother and my father to be my parents in this lifetime for the purposes of the trauma that they would pass down to me, so that my soul can learn, heal, overcome, and grow it so that I can live my life's purpose. So if I chose my parents knowing of the trauma that they would pass down to me, why would I ever blame them? How can I resent them if I chose them? How? They gave you the blessings that you asked for. It's gratitude. Thank you. Like, truly thank you for those life lessons you taught me as a child. Did it hurt sometimes? Yes. But thank you, because I've healed from it now, and I've grown from it now, and I love my life today. I couldn't have this life today if I didn't have those childhood experiences.
Do you still have relationships with them, or do you keep them at arm's length?
I have boundaries,
Sure.
for sure, but I will see my dad actually next week for the first time in 4 years. He just happens to be in town for a business trip.
I hope it goes well.
Oh, it will. Here's the thing. My parents love me, and I know they love me, and I love my parents. They don't know how to have a relationship with me because of the language that I speak. Our souls, I've gone up here. My soul has progressed. They haven't in their lives. We don't connect in that way. Like, they've stayed stuck, and I've grown. It's like impossible for us to have a true connection on that level. I called my mom to check in on her, and I tell her I love her, and those things. But it's not like he doesn't act as, I don't have that traditional or what we as society say is critical for us having in this lifetime.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that probably, I don't think it's a reach to say that many people have similar experience with their parents. My parents are alcoholics, for example, never really landed on their feet. And I got to know them as an adult. And yeah, my life looks very different than theirs ever did.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
And that's okay. I think we get in this lifestyle of society where we tell people, like, your relationship with your parents has to look like this. One of the worst pieces of advice that I ever got from my first sponsor, my therapist, was like, Jesus Christ, that was the worst experience. That was the worst advice anybody could
Plenty
ever give you.
Plenty bad advice out there.
So they were like, you have to call your parents every Sunday. You have to keep your side of the street clean. You got to call your parents every Sunday. And so I did. And so I called my parents. And by the way, both experienced immense trauma when they were children themselves. Immense trauma. They've never healed from it, ever. So they're unable to give me the things that I need. And so every time I'd call them on Sunday, per my sponsor's demands, I would leave that phone call crying. And finally, my therapist years later was like, Jesus, why are you ever calling your mother every Sunday? Like, what? And she goes, she goes, you are so dehydrated walking through this desert, and you're going to die of thirst, but you see this well, and you run over to it, and you just start ripping up that rope, get that bucket, and it's heavy, and it comes up, and it's all sand. It's not water. You will never get hydrated in that way. It's okay to stop.
It's fascinating. And even though you and our lives have been so different on our trajectories, there's these interesting places where they intersect, because that's exactly the experience I had meeting my parents and getting to know. I ended up smoking meth with my mom. I've used hard drugs with both of my parents as an adult, in my mid-20s. And yeah, there's nothing in that well. And as an adopted kid, that's what I always wanted.
Right.
I wanted to meet them. I wanted to know them.
And it's okay to have boundaries, and it's okay that, like, I think when you first asked, like, do you have a relationship with your parents today? And I'm like, I don't have a relationship with them. And I think some people's initial, right, because we come to all conversations from our own lived perspectives, and immediately somebody's thinking about, how dare he? Like, how can he not? Like, I love my mom and my dad. Yeah, that's because you're coming to this conversation with your lived experience. Not from an objective, but that's the way we come at every conversation, which is the reason why we never get very far in conversations, because then it takes the wherewithal to say, I need to take a step back and put on and look at this from an objective. No, a lot of people don't do that unless you have the education and the lived world experience. So what I want people to understand is, but that's okay.
Totally.
I don't have a relationship with them in that sense, but that's okay. It doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean that I don't care about their well-being, because I certainly do. I hope and pray that they have the experience in this lifetime, that they can heal from the trauma that they experienced, not for my benefit, because when they pass on, like they're going to get to the other side and their soul's going to be like, look at their soul contract and be like, we got to do this over again. We got to go back in, have another human experience and figure out a way for us to overcome some of these things. Right. And so that is what also fuels me to continue to heal in this lifetime, because I have this true belief that if you and I had a relationship and we absolutely hated each other and we were just angry and we had this like bond, but whatever, we hate each other and we never able to resolve it. Guess what, buddy? We're going to have to do this all over again. And I don't want to redo this all over again with my parents. I don't. And again, for somebody watching is going to be like, that's really mean. No. Please understand. I don't want them to be my parents in my next lifetime if I come back and have another human experience. I don't. But I also don't resent them. I release them and I love them, but I release them from that responsibility and that bond.
All right. Do you mind if we unpack that a little bit?
Sure.
So you believe in reincarnation? Or I don't know if that's the word you use. Or...
I don't use that word. I believe that like our souls, when we cross over, our souls, if we want to, we get to choose to have another human experience. And then we're just like, okay, I'm going to write a contract to go back down there. And, I believe roles are reversed, like husband and wife. Like my parents, they're still married. They have definitely not resolved their trauma with one another. They're trauma bonded to each other. And I laugh because I'm sitting there thinking like, ooh, they're going to have to do this one again. But maybe my mom will come back as the husband, or roles were reversed. Maybe one comes out as a mother-son. They're like, hey, maybe we'll do a mother-son role to see if we can't resolve some of these issues in that way, in those relationships. So that's the way I just kind of believe it. Which is great, because then I try to resolve everything with everybody.
Right.
Right.
No, that definitely has a great benefit. When did you start believing that?
2 years ago.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I started believing that 2 years ago. So I would say maybe 2 or 3 years after breathwork is when I got into psilocybin. And began using psilocybin in ceremony with 2 healers, 2 incredible women, actually. They don't like to be called shamans. They just call themselves healers. So they're healers. And
so like here in Arizona, or did you like travel like South America? I know some people do
they're
that.
right here in Arizona. No, never did ayahuasca. These were mushrooms, psilocybins. And
I have some extended family that like they like to be in South America and do all the ayahuasca
for sure,
stuff.
like the kind of ayahuasca ceremonies. I've done ayahuasca once. It was an experience that I prefer. Psilocybin is done with a different medicine of the plant, mushrooms. Sure. So I will tell you, then I began, the curiosity really began. The curiosity really began for me about, learning about soul contracts and learning about our karma, our karmic energy and those things. But I will tell you this. In December, so however many months ago that was, December of 24, I did a ceremony with my healers. I went into it with totally different intent.
What was the intent?
The intent was, I have an autoimmune disease that is absolutely debilitating. And modern medicine, and it's so rare that modern medicine just can't figure out even ways to stop it. And so I went in with the intent, how can I heal myself?
Okay.
Show me how I can heal myself. Because this autoimmune disease, unfortunately, has prevented me from having relationships with others, like on an intimate level. And so it's been really hard mentally. So I went into that and like, am I never going to be like intimate? Am I never going to be able to have a partner in this lifetime? Right. And that's a hard thing to overcome mentally.
I can only imagine.
Right. So it's really hard. So I went into it with that intent. I am 2 hours into this journey in December. And I'm blindfolded, by the way, the entire time. I do this for therapy. Full stop. I do this for therapy. So I'm blindfolded the entire 4 hours.
It's wild.
Okay. No outwards. I'm not even walking through nature. There's no.
Yeah, every time I ate mushrooms, I was off on a journey.
For sure. No, this is on a mattress,
this
on
is
the ground, in ceremony space, with blindfolds on.
I'm just theorizing.
You are.
I'm walking in the picture you're painting.
You are in. Like you're going in. You ain't out. You're not distracted. You're going in. 2 hours into that journey, all of a sudden, I look and I go, I'm my dad. And I was my dad when he was a little boy. I'm like, why am I seeing this? Why am I seeing this right now? I saw my dad as a little boy being abused. And my dad was, I get goosebumps talking about this. My dad was on a street corner and he was screaming, I just want you to love me. I just want someone to love me. It was my dad, it wasn't me. I came out of that journey. And I think the last time I spoke to my dad was years and years ago, even via text. He never shared to me what happened to him as a child. Ever. He never told me about his childhood, nothing, because he's traumatized by it. Here he gets a text out of the blue from his son. And I said, Dad, I love you. I'm so sorry about what happened to you when you were a child. You've never told me, but I believe I know. I'm sorry that you were abused. I'm sorry that you were neglected and you were passed around. I'm so sorry you experienced that and you haven't healed from that. But I just want to let you know, I see you and I love you. And I never want you ever wondering if I do or don't. He wrote back to me within an hour. I don't have the words, but I can't tell you how much that text means to me. I love you. I healed the relationship that I had with my dad that day. Healed. No amount, buddy, I've been in talk therapy for years. No amount of talk therapy ever gave me that. I went in with the intent of something else, but was shown that. I didn't even know I needed that level of healing with my father.
Yeah.
But I believe my guides said, you need and must heal from this now. Hour 3 of that journey. I asked myself, why am I doing this? Why am I seeking this out? Why am I using this? And all of a sudden, I get a visual. And it was me. I had my hand on the heart of somebody who was on the ground. I was kneeling above them. And all of a sudden, this light from above shone down, bolted through me, lit me up, went through my hands onto the heart of the person in front of me. They lit up. And then all of a sudden, that person on this mat went, whew. They had people on their side and their hands lit up. And then those people, and it was this domino effect of infinity. And I said, I get it. Thank you for this purpose. I will continue. I will continue to show compassion and lead this path and touch the hearts of other people so that they can feel that love that they may have never felt from other people, so that if they feel that, they can pass that down and give that love that they need to give to other people. This is life's purpose. As though I am going to be the last person. I know the populations we work with. I will be the last person ever to say that this is for everybody. It is not. I also know how responsible I am with it and the therapy that I do along with it that a lot of other people won't.
Sure.
To thine own self be true.
Mm-hmm.
To thine own self be true. Do not get it twisted for 1 second. Don't twist this in some other way. You know when you're fooling yourself. Don't do something because, you saw, Brandon Lee did it and it helped him. Right. Yeah, buddy, you want to do all the therapy that I do along with it, all the pre-work that goes into those ceremonies that I do, and then the integration work that goes with it.
Right.
That's the responsible use of something. And so I don't want people to ever walk away with, I'm going to do what Brandon does, because I don't want to be irresponsible when I speak about it.
Well, I appreciate that. And I love that you give the disclaimer, because it's a big deal. Turning your life around from the inside out takes, it's the hardest thing I think anyone will ever do. And there are various paths for it. I'll tell you just a brief, funny story. This is years ago. I want to say like 2012 or maybe 14, maybe 2014. I was an interim director at 5A. So I'm running 3 facilities while I'm still running a software company. So I'm there in my spare time. And my wife's pregnant. And so my life is just slammed full. And I pull up into the director's parking space in my BMW that has nothing but problems. I bought a super used one for like 15, 16 grand or something. But it's a BMW. So I pull up into the director's spot, my BMW, and there's this guy smoking cigarettes on the front who I was roommates with at the Solution, 2004. I pull up, he looks at me up and down, looks at the car, and he goes, "Looks like the promises are coming true for you." And I'm like,
God.
I'm like, "It's good to see you too, buddy." And I sit down, we start chit-chatting, and he's like, "Man, will you be my sponsor?" And I'm like, "Sure." We're working steps, we don't get through a whole lot. We're like on step 3 or something. Yeah. So it's been a week or something. And he comes to me and he goes, "Hey, have you heard about this ayahuasca stuff?" And I go, Yeah. He goes, "What do you think?" And I go, "I don't know. Sounds trippy." "Why?" He goes, "Well, what do you think about me doing it?" And I was like, "Well, like Peru or something?" He's like, "Yeah, go to South America, do a ceremony." And I'm like, "You might as well. I mean, you've been in AA for 15 years, never done a fucking thing. So yeah, I mean, why not?"
Why not? Yeah, like go try.
He was so surprised that I would say that.
It was so funny because this is the other thing too. I had as somebody who had a lot of experience within the program,
Sure.
right? So I was telling this healer and the therapist, I'm like, "Oh God, I don't know if I could do this, da da da."
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he goes, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Well, it's mind altering substance, da da da." He goes, "Whew. Wow, Brandon, you still think you're an addict?" And I was like, yo, that hit me, Estel. Like when he said that to me,
interesting.
That hit me like a, whew, what? Yeah, well, of course, once an addict, always an addict, buddy. And he goes, whoa, Brandon, I've been working with you for 3 years. He goes, you still think of yourself that way? And I was like, well, he goes, you think that all the work you've done, like you think if you go and do this and this is going to happen, this? I was like, oh, da. He goes, listen, buddy, listen. And he goes, are you asking for my blessing to do this experience? And I was like, yeah. Actually, I am.
I need you to sign right here.
Put the choice on you. Yeah, I was like, put the choice on you. Yes, I am actually looking for your blessing. He goes, you have my blessing. Brendan, it'll either be a good experience or a bit of bad experience. But you won't know unless you have the experience. And that just like gave me the freedom to like step into that space. And it was really, it was really cool. I think I don't know, it's impacted me in this way. People who know me are like, wow, dude, B, you're like such like a different person. Like you feel like the way you look at life is just so much way more optimistic. And you just seem lighter. I'm like, yeah, like if you would have been in those ceremonies, you would have seen all the energy that I released. Like I truly am physically lighter in so many ways.
So he says to me, he's very surprised that I would endorse this. And then he says, well, would you do it? And I said, well, no.
Right.
And he goes, well, why not? I said, because that's for people that are still searching. I'm not searching anymore. Mm. And my path, I found God, I found release, I found maturity, I found release from my resentments, I found a new life on this path. Mm-hmm. And you haven't.
Right.
That's what that's for. That's an instrument for people searching. And if you're still searching, bro, and you haven't found what you're looking for here, then maybe you should. I don't think you ever went.
Yeah, because I will say, like, it could be the spiritual awakening that some people need.
100%. There's a book referenced in the big book, the AA big book, called Varieties of Religious Experience. It's not really like written like a novel or a textbook. It's a compilation of papers and studies and lectures by a guy named William James. If anybody want to Google William James, this is an old book. It is definitely a thick, heady read. But Varieties of Religious Experience, he was a psychiatrist, and he was fascinated by people who have had spiritual awakenings of all kinds. Varieties of Religious Experience, I think is what it's called. And it covers all different types of people from all different walks of life who have all had what you would call a born again experience. Some through the Christian faith, some through other faiths, some with near death experience. I mean, there's all kinds. And he's not even pitching a narrative. Again, it's not a book written with a beginning, middle, and end. It's just a collection of lectures and data of all these different people from all these different walks of life that have had experiences like you've had, experiences like I've had.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fascinating. I read it when I was like 2 years sober. I was almost sorry I read it. I was like, oh my gosh, that was a lot.
Yeah. Like I ask people all the time, like, what's your end goal here? Like, how do you want to live?
Yeah.
You want to just be free. I am free. I have no fear of any, like, I have no fear of drinking. Like, I have no fear of any of that. Like, because I'm healed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm healed. And if we're truly healed, we wouldn't do anything to harm ourselves. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. Like, if we're truly healed, we just wouldn't do anything to harm ourselves in that way, and to find that peace. And, you know, because I know we were supposed to talk about entrepreneurship, right? It was kind of that kind of derailed. But, you know, what I will say is it makes me like, it also just gives me the better application to be a boss. Let's talk about entrepreneurship a little bit, because I know that was your original topic. And there's a lot of people who are out there being like, I wish I could be my own boss, or like, I wish I could have what Estel has, right? Like, I think too, like, it's okay to be a W-2 employee.
Absolutely.
Like, it's okay. Like, don't
100%.
feel shame if you're not like don't feel like your sense of shame. Like I didn't accomplish a lot because I don't own my own company. Like, first off, stop. A majority of companies that are built never, you know, see the light of day, whatever. But there's nothing wrong with being a W-2. Absolutely nothing. I was one for 22 years. And I'm grateful for that experience, because it gave me the foundation to be able to build, you know, a successful company. Like, I took the good and the bad. I had a lot of good bosses, had a lot of not so great bosses. Great. That only helps you become a better version of you, to pick and choose those things of the experiences that you had to become the better boss that you are. My healers told me, they go, Brandon, being in a newsroom, it's dark. Okay. It's toxic because only of the news you're covering every day. Like, how is that a positive environment? Like, this person's dying, this breaking news here, It's chaotic. I'll just say it's chaos, right? And so my healers told me, they go, Brandon, you've only known chaos for 22 years in a work environment. You're going to go start your own company. If we don't address this and work on it, you will recreate what is familiar to you. You will create chaos. And I'm like, oh, no. Hell to the no, we're not going down that route. Let's address it. So he goes, you'll either you'll recreate chaos, or you will do the total opposite. And so I've worked so hard to create the total opposite, right? Because I want my teams to be happy when they come to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like last weekend, I forgot something at my studio, and I went there and I'm like, Dylan's car's here. He's one of my facilitators. What here? I went to, he's painting. He's practicing hydro dipping. He's got like 40 hats out there, and he's just dipping. And I was like, you good, buddy? He goes, oh yeah, man, I just love it here. I just wanted to come down today and create. I'm like, I walked out of that building. I'm like, it's amazing, right? Like, that's always the environment that I always wanted to create. But, you know, like, I want people to know, like, it's okay to like not be an entrepreneur. Like, I think sometimes in this society where like only this class of people can be really successful if they're entrepreneurs. And I want people to know, no, that's just not true. Like, success can look so different and feel so different for so many people. But also, if you're thinking about it, it's hard. Like, it's hard. And I think people don't see that. They don't see the struggle that we experience. They don't see the hard, because it's hard and it is nonstop. It never ends. I'll never forget this, because I was a W-2 and I'd go, I was on a Tulum vacation. I'll remember this when I was at Tulum. My best friend, Tyler, he owns his own law firm, kills it. All the time we'd be at a Tulum vacation, we'd go to breakfast, and all of us would be heading to the pool. And we're like, come on, we're all going to the pool. And Tyler would be like, I'll be back down at 11:30, and then I'll see you guys for lunch, and we can hang out the rest of the day. I'd be like, Tyler, dude, what? Like, what do you mean, bro? We're on vacation. He goes, I got to go. I didn't understand. And so all of a sudden we go on vacations, and I have to bring my laptop and da-da-da. And he goes, see, Brandon, you get to go on vacation and work. He goes, I set aside 2 hours in the mornings after breakfast. I set aside 2 hours to make all my calls, get all my emails, and connect with everybody else, which allows me to take more vacations, and I can go on and I can hang out with you guys the rest of the day.
That
mind shift.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that for a second, because let's pause on that one, because that's an interesting dynamic to careers that And you don't have to necessarily be an entrepreneur. There are a lot of people who can work remotely that can pull this off. But when my wife and I travel quite a bit with what allows us, slow this down. What allows my family and I to travel so much is our ability to maintain our routines while we travel. Meaning I can still get some things done, even if I'm traveling, and we homeschool our children. So our children can still get their educational tasks. And we generally do it in the morning. Not every morning if there's an event or something that we're going to go see, but most of the time, Monday through Friday, while we're traveling, because we'll leave for months at a time, I'm still going to the gym. Right? I'm still doing prayer, meditation. I'm in the gym. My spiritual thing is my own thing. I actually got baptized a while back, so I've been on the Christian path for the last 2 years. Interestingly,
Congrats.
Thanks. It's been amazing. But so my routine is basically the same as it is when I'm here, minus I don't come to this office. Right, I'm still working, going to the gym, prayer, meditation. I'm working with Marcus and work with other people here, Dane, etc. And while my kids are studying math, English, they're writing skills. They're learning Spanish, both of them, my older girls. And then we usually dip out into whatever city we're in to go get lunch, and then we go do something in the afternoon. And that's what most days look like. So that's a fascinating part of not just self-employment or entrepreneurship, but also just since COVID, I know that a lot of people are coming back to offices, but those that are remote or are hybrid can really pull that off. I've worked with a lot of our team members that, interestingly, they come with like this cultural expectation that we wouldn't encourage that, where they're like, hey, I wanted to be gone for like 3 weeks. Is it cool as long as all my metrics are met if I can do this? And I'm like, yeah, I care about nothing but your metrics and your happiness.
Right.
Like,
and if
we have a job to do, and I want you to be happy doing it. Yeah,
that's it. Find a way to get it done. Unfortunately, you can't work remote for Art of Our Soul. We can't. That's one job. Like you're there. Like sorry, not sorry. You got to go to prison. I get because I only hire. Which I love for my company. I only hire formerly justice-involved individuals.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it is actually a job requirement at Art of Our Soul. If you've never had a prison experience, you cannot work for me because how can you go do that work without that lived experience? You can't. It's not in the way I need it done or want it to be done.
We call it a therapeutic rapport.
Yeah, it just is. Like it just is. It just is. So like I think that but it's also been really cool. Because some people are like, how did you get into prisons? Like Brandon. Like,
well, let's rewind a little bit. So you open the first one. You've got a few treatment centers coming in, bringing their patients.
Yeah.
Then what's the next step? How does it grow?
Yeah. So it grew in ways I never had envisioned. Never in my mind did I ever think I would create a franchise partnership model for Art of Our Soul. Like that doesn't exist in behavioral health. Like clinics and treatment centers don't own partnership franchises. Like that's never existed. I think it's safe to say, but it came from a need. Populations that were so big that my program couldn't service their whole population. So it came from the Copa Health story where she goes, listen, buddy, I need people coming to my studios. Let's build one of your studios at my clinics. So we built at Metro Center. And then Crossroads came to me and said, Brandon, we have a big population. You can't serve everybody. We want them to experience this. Can you build one at our EVIC at our women's center where we also do outpatient there? So they have men go there for outpatient, right?
Sure.
But it's also a women's residential. Cool. So we built it there. Their show rates through the roof. Love it, right? And so, and then it started growing. Northside, we built one at Northside.
Yeah, I'm friends with Jeremy.
I love Jeremy, right? So Jeremy's awesome. Jeremy's like, he brought his clients to us and he goes, oh, no, buddy. Like, I want my clients to have this experience more often. Cool. We'll just figure out the right thing that fits for you. And so we built one out at Northside. And so I literally just reached out to franchising attorneys and I said, we're going to create this. And they're like, this doesn't exist. Like, what model are we even going to even begin to model this after? I'm like, we have to create our own. But it's got to make sense in behavioral health because we're not open to the public. Right. And so we created this really unique concept that makes sense for everybody. And so, yeah, I know you have a question.
I was just wondering, is that on the agenda for someday, opening one for the public?
My team wants me to.
Just a question.
The public has asked.
I hadn't thought of that. It hadn't occurred to me that you're right. Art of Our Soul touches so many lives currently, and it's all done behind the scenes within the behavioral health provider network.
Correct.
Interesting.
So this is where I go back and forth. Do I want to open to the public? Not really. Why? Because I never want to lose a sense of purpose as to what Art of Our Soul has always been synonymous with: trauma healing within behavioral health. Now, some people are like, yeah, but Brandon, there's people who don't belong to clinics, that don't go to treatment centers, that also need this modality to heal. True. But I just see like birthday parties, those girls' parties, bachelorette parties. No. We're not. I don't want us to be like
the wine paint thing.
Yeah, like the sip and paints. Like we're not. But people who are in treatment, they come to us and they're like, "Yo, bro, this is so much better than those sip and paints." I took my girl to a sip and paint. Guys from Crossroads yesterday. Yo, bro, like they're leaving. Yo, bro, dude, you got to have date night here. This guy yesterday goes, bro, like this would be amazing for me to bring my date to. We can come here. We can do acrylic point, or we can dip a hat together, and then we can like, bro, you got to open this up for dates. Can I please come back? And I'm just like, I'm not ready to take that step yet.
Yeah.
And so one day, man, there was a treatment center. They worked with reentry folks, and they came into the studio and they were wearing orange sandals, and I was like, what's happening here? Like that's the most random thing ever. Like is the treatment center giving you orange sandals? Like what's happening? They're like, no, like we just got out of Perryville. These girls, and I was like, whoa, wait, the prison? And they're like, yeah. So this is cool. I got to get to know them over a period of time, and we saw them healing. Like we saw them opening up in ways. I'm like, oh my God, you served 28 years? Like, what? You're like opening up about what happened to you as a child. Like I got to know these people. And one day in the most smallest of conversations, and this is why something grows organically. Like I don't have these visions, bro. It just, the next step is the next step, and it just reveals itself. And I'm like, at my art table in the old studio, before we built the one I just built. And I asked her, I said, hey, listen, like if one of these existed in prison, what do you think? Like, she goes, are you kidding me? If you built this in prison, it would have saved me. They would go nuts. I'm like, cool. So what do? People think I use my connections to get into prisons. Like, I have the first DM message on LinkedIn that I sent to Director Ryan Thornell. Hey, Director, my name is Brandon Lee. I know you have no idea who I am because you just moved from Maine a year ago. This is what I do. I own this art studio. I would love to have you come tour. A DM message on LinkedIn. No connections to get to. 3 hours later. Hey, Brandon, I've actually heard of your program. I've heard of the success that it's had with some of our reentry folks. I would love to come in for a tour. 2 weeks later, Director Ryan Thornell was in my studio. He was supposed to be there for about 45 minutes. He was there for 2 hours. At the end of this, he looks and goes, okay, cool program. Like, cool program. But why am I here? I go, listen, man, I want to build these studios inside your prisons. And like, it was a sense of shock, like he wasn't expecting that. At the end of that 2 hours, he goes, let's do this thing. Let's figure this out. Let's do this thing. I'm like, cool. So I'm like, they only have state funding, right? And if it's their budget, the state budget's lined up a full year in advance.
For sure.
Right? So it's not like you can reappropriate money, right? He goes, well, we're going to have to like somehow find funding for this. I go to the CEO of Mercy Care, explain to them that as a Medicaid provider, right, this is the business sense, right?
Yep.
Like, Brandon, how did you do this? How did you get all this money? Cool. I'm going to share with you. Do your research first. Like 70, 80% of the folks coming out of reentry are on Medicaid. Cool. Well, guess what? They're choosing your health plan. If we do not begin to heal them through holistic healing and experiential therapies while they're incarcerated and they reenter our communities, they're going to end up within the first 6 months in the 3 most costliest points of care: the emergency room, detox, or your place, residential treatment.
Right.
That is the last place you want them to go because that is going to cost you a lot of money. Cool. Well, if we keep 4 people, 5 people out of the ER, detox, and residential treatment, you've just paid for my program for an entire year. They go, what do you want to do? I need money. I need to go build an Art of Our Soul Holistic Healing Center inside Eagle Point Lewis Prison Complex. Their reaction. They're going to let you do this? I'm like, yeah. They're like, no. They're going to let you build an Art of Our Soul inside of a prison. I said, yes. We got your funds. Cool. I go to Banner Health CEO, Jim Stringham. Love Jim. So I see Jim, and Jim comes to me and goes, I hear you're doing something pretty cool. I'm like, yeah. He goes, Brandon, I'm actually looking at my calendar. I actually have a meeting with you on Monday. I better see a big proposal. Cool. So I see Jim Stringham on that Monday. He goes, what do you got for me? And I said, I want to build a holistic healing studio inside Perryville Women's Complex on the Lumley unit. It's the highest risk unit. He goes, they're going to let you inside Lumley? I said, yep. And he goes, what do you need? This is what I need. Give me 1 week. 1 week later, I got you everything. Cool, man. Let's effing go. 2 years of programming, brick and mortar, 2 years of programming, and da-da. Now, people are like, man, providers have been trying to get into prisons forever. Da-da-da-da. Like, and I said, and here's the other thing. I'm pulling something up because, A, you have to have something that works. You have to be something that is new. Like, people are like, how? I was asked in an interview for a magazine, Brandon, you've only been open, like, at that time, 3.5 years. How come your company's been able to grow so exponentially in 3.5 years? You've already created a franchise model. Like, what's the answer to that? And I said, you know what it is? By happenstance, okay? Not purposely, by happenstance. I said, we've been so successful in behavioral health because we created something that hadn't existed before. Joy. Like, no one ever existed pure, like, inner child joy and excitement in behavioral health. Sure, clinics can be like, your life will become joyful if you do this and this and this.
Sure.
But just to create pure joy in a unique way. Art therapy's been around forever. Every treatment center has a room where they do art. Sometimes they're beating stuff. They're making, like, dream catchers, whatever. They're doing those things. But never in an environment where you change the environment with murals, neon lights, you had music, you have this, you have that. Like, nobody had done that in behavioral health. And so I was like, we created the one thing I think that was missing was joy, which is the reason why it had taken off, right? Well, then, cool, you have an idea. I had clinical data from a treatment center and behavioral clinic side outside, but it took an innovative leader like Director Ryan Thornell. It took an innovator to be like, you know what? I see the success you're having on the outside. This doesn't exist. Brick and mortar holistic healing centers don't exist in state prisons anywhere in the country. Sure, there may be programming here or there, but it doesn't exist brick and mortar. He goes, I want to be on something on the forefront of something. It takes an innovative leader to say yes. This isn't all on Brandon.
Right.
Director Ryan Thornell gets the heap of credit because he said yes.
That's how these things work. Yeah.
It's never just one.
Totally.
It's a collaboration of efforts here. This wouldn't exist if Mercy Care and Banner Health didn't step up to the plates to provide for this population.
Well,
right?
I can't speak for Mercy Care because I don't know the CEO, but Jim is one of the most thoughtful and dedicated providers I've met, and I've met tons. He comes from the space. He's been in the space for so long.
He started in that space.
Right. Yeah, his whole career's been in behavioral health, and he's been on the front lines for many, many years. So, I mean, Banner University made an incredibly wise choice putting him at the helm because he's incredible.
Incredible. Like, just a cool
And he
dude.
was watched your documentary. He's on the documentary too.
Yeah, he's in the documentary. Like, he's just a cool guy. Like, I can sit there and we can go grab dinner. Like, he's just cool and he gets it. And he also wants to do something cool and innovative. So again, I tell people, no one person can do anything and everything. Like, it takes a collaboration of a lot of different things. Like, I tell people, hey, I'm good at this thing. Like, this is what I'm really good at, okay? But you bring this to the table, which is critically necessary in order for this to succeed. And you have to say yes as the director, and you have to support us and want to see this program be successful. So it's just like in recovery. There's a triangle, right? You need support systems in order to have success. Well, same thing in business, right? people, when I told them that I was leaving news, you're nuts. You're crazy. You're this. I have like 3 people who are my close circle of friends. It's not big, Astul. It's like 3 people. All 3 of those friends, Tyler, my attorney friend, you know what he told me when I told him? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I know how much you love art. I know, I see it every day. I know how much you love this. You're miserable in news. Go for it. What do you need? The 3 most important people in my life, not my family, they're my chosen family, the 3 most important people in my life, they all said, go for it. Had they not, I probably wouldn't have gone for it. As I'm being serious. If the 3 most important people in my life did not say, fuck yeah, you go for it, I may not have. That's how much, I'm telling you that because that is how critical. Now, some people say, that's weak. Be your own man. No.
The people that surround you really...
If they're chosen, like, you know the pillars of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're not chosen, the people that are closest to you have such a strong influence on our behavior, on what on risks we're willing to take or not take.
Which is why it is so critically important. If you want to have success in life, you better have really amazing, successful people around you.
Agree, 100%.
And guess what? All 3 of those people are entrepreneurs. And they just wanted to see me happy. And they truly love me unconditionally, that they just want to support me unconditionally. What do we need to do to help you? How can we? And so if you're thinking about it, I cannot tell you how. I love my time in AA was great. There were some really cool things. Stick with the winners, right? There was all this thing. In life, your circle of friends shouldn't be big. It should be small. And those people need to be your pillars, right? Because what I will notice is that there was a lot of people cheering me on because Brandon's leaving his main anchor news desk and he's going to go start this little art studio. Yeah, it's so brave, right? Because it likely wasn't going to succeed. But then it does. How many of those people are still cheering when they see success, right? And so that's why it's so critically important to have that, like...
Is it sunflower syndrome or poppy flower syndrome?
I don't know. Is there a syndrome with that? I don't know.
It's a phenomenon. I want to say it's with sunflowers or with poppy flowers where they... so it occurs in these plants where if you see like a sunflower field, they're all the same height. And it's because biologically... they won't let one grow taller. So it's a thing that's mentioned around
it
crowds
comes
of people.
from, right. And if you're not aware of it, like if we're not aware enough, we're like, oh, that's on them. Like it's their own projected of their own failures that they see within themselves and da-da-da. But it's like, we'll cheer somebody on when the chances of them succeeding aren't that great. It's cheering on the underdog.
Until you're not an underdog.
You're not an underdog anymore,
Once
right?
you're not an underdog anymore... we're moving on.
There's a thing that we root for the March Madness. We root for the underdog, right?
100%.
But when somebody's not an underdog anymore, it's like that cheering section can sometimes get a little quiet.
Yeah, I have some friends that started a company a few years back, and I feel honored that they shared their numbers with me. And I sent them a picture, like a screenshot of that family from Home Alone. Because that was like it's an old movie from the 80s. You remember, like, the joke was always like, what does this guy do for a living? Because he like flies his whole family first class to Paris.
For sure.
And they have this big house.
Yeah.
So I emailed him like just an image of that family on the plane, and I was like, sad as it is to say, not many people are probably going to be happy for you at this level of success, and I just want you to hear from me. Congratulations. I'm super happy that you're richer than these folks now. Like you guys have done what you've set out to do, and I hope the future's bright for you guys.
For sure.
Just to have said it, let me get it out there in the air. Like, dude, I'm happy that you guys are winning.
And it's a true genuine. Like we can feel that, right? You can feel that. And
yeah.
You can feel that. And here's the other thing. Like, to have success, your program is studied. Like, you wouldn't get the plans that you have with health plans without them asking, where's the data?
Right.
Or like, can we track this data for a certain amount of period of time to see if you're worth this increase or if you're worth this value-based contract? Right. We get it, right? You've got to have that. So there's multiple things to success, right? So I planted this seed. We have an innovative program that's never been studied before inside prisons. Like, it's never been done before.
But you did the one thing that entrepreneurs who get it right do, and that is you made you were product focused, you were customer focused. What is the best, how can I create the best possible experience for my client?
Correct.
And that's like the trick to all business.
Everything. And how can we be unique?
If you can get that one thing right, there's a guy named Alex Hormozy I follow. If you can get that one thing right, everything else is almost irrelevant. Not completely irrelevant, but almost. That's the one thing.
It's the one thing. And so creating what we've created in prisons has never been done before. Well, cool. Well, guess what? They study it.
Totally.
Like the data that is studied inside our correctional system is intense and amazing. And so we obviously were like, okay, we have the best baseline though. The best baseline. Many of these folks who have been incarcerated have been there for 5 or 10 years plus. Cool. We know their behaviors. We know their behaviors over the past 5 to 10 years. Cool. Mm-hmm. Now we drop Art of Our Soul and a holistic healing program where we do trauma-informed yoga, trauma-informed breath work, sound bowl sessions, and art and music all in the same studio. So It's all encompassing, hitting all the modalities on the central nervous system, everything. We cover it from the yoga all the way to art and music. So now we put in something that has never existed before in this population, right? We take these people, we have their baseline, we add something. So after 8 months has gone by, we collected the first batch of data. And so I never want to F up data. So just the basics of what happened at Eagle Point, our where we work the SMI population. There was a 62% drop in self-harm incidents after an inmate experienced one Art of Our Soul session.
Wow.
There was an 83% drop in disciplinary violations. And there was a 14% drop in mental health watches, suicide watches. At Perryville, there was a 91% drop in self-harm incidents after just one Art of Our Soul experience. A 27% drop in disciplinary violations and a 74% drop in mental health watches after an inmate experienced one session. I wasn't expecting that. Those are really good numbers. But then I sat and I thought about it. I'm like, well, of course. You just changed the environment. Environment plays a huge factor in how we think, how we feel, how we behave. We know this. Mm-hmm. You just changed our environment in a prison. And you brought modalities that have been studied, tried and true. Yoga, breathwork, and sound bowls. Mm-hmm. It's been around. We know that works. And then you added your modality, art and music, all in the same place. Of course. Of course. And so I hope, and Utah Corrections flew down 3 weeks ago. They saw the data. They flew down, Utah Corrections. So we toured them. We picked them up a shuttle. We toured them at Art of Our Soul Perryville. The director was there. They experienced the session alongside the incarcerated women. Cool. And now they're looking to bring up an Art of Our Soul to build that out up at Salt Lake City Corrections Facility.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so you just never know like where it leads. I mean, my dream, my goal, we have 16 state prisons here in Arizona. 9 are run by the state. The other 6 are private. My goal, my dream, I don't know if it'll happen of your reality, but my goal is to be in all 9, right? Yeah. And getting people to understand if we have these kind of results while they're incarcerated, well, guess what? If we can regulate their nervous system to the fact where they're not having violent outbursts or violations, guess what happens when they re-enter our community? They're going to be less violent, less altercations, hopefully without reoffending and coming back.
And that's supposed to be the point, right?
For sure.
Like,
to make our communities safer, first and foremost. 9 out of 10 incarcerated individuals in our state prison system will be released back into our communities. In Arizona, 16,000 incarcerated individuals every year are being released back into our communities.
And the responsibility that we as a community have, particularly around prison administration, to not just, we've always talked about like, we got to do something different. I mean, people have been talking about prison reform in America for a long, long time, and I haven't seen a lot that's been thrown against the wall that is stuck. And I'm really going to be praying for,
Thank you.
And
we'll see.
Hoping for and rooting on your success with this.
Thank you. We'll see, right? Because there are some who are like, lock them up, throw away the key. Why do they deserve this? Right? Trust me, there are. Well, there's lawmakers, out there. They're just like, lock them up, throw away the key. Arizona has a pretty punitive system, by the way. This is why we have long prison sentences here. Yeah. But I tell them this. Okay, 2 things. from a fiscal policy, if it costs the state of Arizona on average here, $45,000 a year per incarcerated individual, and we have 34,000 incarcerated individuals, do the math here. Now, if we spend maybe a couple of $1,000s on holistic healing therapies on said individual, and let's say they don't reoffend and go back to prison within a year, 5 years, or 10 years, think of the money savings that is to state taxpayers, right, from a fiscal policy.
Totally.
Now, your role as a lawmaker should always be number one, first and foremost, make our communities safe. Cool. 16,000 are reentering. If we don't take advantage of the opportunity to help them heal while they're in our care, like they're in our custody, they're in our care, we should want to heal them as much as possible so that when they reenter, they don't hurt or harm other people.
1,000%. Norway has astonishingly low recidivism rates. And I'm not educated enough on all of the stuff that they do. But what I do know is that it's super nice. They have a lot of freedom. They're not in the general population with the rest of the public, but they have a lot of freedoms. There's a lot of, they're working, they're performing a lot of normal outside functions in the air. And I don't know the data behind it, but I would say some of the prisons will allow inmates that have good behavior to participate in like wildland fire.
Yes.
A lot of those guys have big turnarounds too, just by finding some purpose, getting outside.
For sure.
It makes a big difference. Something like Art of Our Soul, I think, could move the needle in such a significant way.
I hope it's just the beginning of what other programs, right, can come in, right? I mean, this isn't just like, I hope it's an Art of Our Soul thing and I hope that's the end. No, what I hope is that we continue to grow and expand and we begin to change the public perception of incarcerated individuals. Because I think if what we can do...
It's got such a stigma.
A stigma to the point where then we don't hire them when they come out. So what my conversations with leadership at corrections and everybody is, no, let us tell these stories. Let the public see them as humans, because I don't believe anybody is born evil. When you get to sit down with the individuals that I get the opportunity to hang with when I go out to Lewis Prison in Perryville, I love it. I love going to those prisons. And I get to just hang out with them and chat with them. When you get to know them,
they're human beings. They're children of God, just like everyone else.
They open up to you about what they experienced when they were children, whether it be environmental trauma, the communities of which they grew up in, which helped shape their bad behaviors as adults, the physical violence or the abuse, the neglect, the childhood attachment, a multitude of things. When you get to know them and you learn about their experiences, you would have had empathy and compassion for them, for what happened to them. But you can't get past seeing the hurt and the harm that they caused. But because of, you don't want to get to the root of the problem. So what I want to do is, I hope what we do is by showing them in a different light, showing that they're human, so that when they reenter, places will hire them. Because by hiring them, it keeps them also from reoffending.
100%.
Right? It gives them a foundation and a job to provide a roof over their head so they don't have to go back to their old ways.
It's approximately 50%, and this is for federal and state prisons, are there directly because of substance use disorders, and it's something like between 75 and 80% experienced a substance use disorder either while incarcerated or at the time of arrest.
Correct.
So when you start looking at, and we know that so much of substance use disorder comes from a base of trauma. Right?
Correct. Like that's what we know. It's science.
It's not
like
the prerequisite, but it is so common.
I would suffice to say, and I feel comfortable to say this, I believe it's a high majority. I think it's just a high majority.
The data that I see is high majority.
It's high majority of people who are ending up in Cornerstone Healing Center for help. A high majority, it is related to childhood trauma experiences.
So you're familiar with ACE testing,
yes.
The first childhood experience. So I'm an 8. 0 is what you'd want to be. If you're a parent, you want your children to grow up with a 0 score. I'm an 8. Our average here is 8.
Is it?
Yeah, and we're treating 195 people as of this moment, currently in care.
And I would even suffice to say, because I think divorce
is one of the questions.
It is one of the questions. I think I was told, and I could be wrong in this, I was told it's about a 2 on that, and I'm like,
well, divorce is a single point. If you grew up in a divorced home, that's a single point.
It's a single point.
There's 10 questions. Every affirmative answer is another point.
Another point.
If you're a 4, you're basically fucked. statistically. You're like 700% more likely to develop a substance use disorder. You're like 1,200%
Yeah.
more likely to die of a metabolic disease. I believe it's either heart disease or cancer. I think once you're a 5 or a 6, your lifespan is shorter by 20 years. I
Yeah.
mean, the list goes on and on. It's so detrimental.
And I know that they like sign, from a clinical perspective, like we need to have numbers assigned and see those testings. I hate it. I personally I get why clinical directors do. So I say that.
Yeah.
But I also hate it because I'm like, yeah, but the way a divorce can be for one child, you're just answering, have you experienced a divorce? Sure, but that is, you don't know the circumstances of that divorce or what led up to that divorce for that child. Maybe they saw things that led up and it wasn't an amicable divorce. And so I hate limiting to somebody where they're like, I didn't have a really traumatic childhood. Okay, yeah, my parents got divorced, but that was it. Oh, no. Don't say, but that was it. Because that could be enough triggering trauma experience where it messed them up in a way.
Yeah. Well, and as a parent, what I hold a lot more reverence for is a deeper understanding or knowing that sometimes we're looking at the lesser of two evils with divorce specifically, or with adoption. That's another one. The lesser of two evils. Like, would I have been better off in my parents' care? No. That's
my parents are still married.
Pretty clear.
Yeah, but I would be like, but my parents are still married. And wait. You think that would be better than divorce? Where's my points? I need a couple points because my parents actually stayed together.
Totally. And yet, I don't know that, it's not like I didn't rack up. I would have racked up points either way.
Right.
Staying with them or being, extracted from that household and being put in a different household.
Right.
So sometimes you're choosing between the lesser of two evils.
Right.
And I'm not somebody that's like, oh, well, this happened. Well, this is the outcome. Like, your life's rough.
Right.
Life in the NFL, for lack of a better way to say it. I mean, life in reality is tough. And that doesn't matter if you're coming from a poverty-stricken part of the world or if you're living in America or in the UK. There's not a ton of people on the internet may yell at me and disagree. There are some people who've got it easy, but I mean, I could, like you've already experienced, I could point to wealthy families, children who grew up in wealthy families, very affluent.
And think you have it all and had it easy.
Totally, and didn't at all, come up with very traumatic experiences. But the point I'm saying is that a lot of people have had it rough.
And I will say this too, like if you're thinking about starting your own business and starting your own career, and like I look back and things correlate, and it's not by chance. I've had the most success I've had in my life over the past several years. I'm also the most healed version of myself than I've ever been.
That's an interesting correlation, isn't it?
Right. So like really like the healing that I continue to, which is going to be why I never tell somebody I'm fully healed. I'm on a healing journey the rest of this life.
We've all got growing to do, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not so much healing in a sense that it's growing. I want to continue to grow and learn and heal. So I'm going to continue in the space that I've healed and grown, because I look back and I'm like, I've had the most success I've ever had, and it's getting more successful. So why would I stop what I'm doing now? I'm going to continue to grow, And so I tell people, because people who you can be successful and not have healed from your trauma, but you're just an asshole. And like eventually it catches up with you. And I don't want you to carry that karmic energy with you. Like, because we can look at some people and you're like, some people own treatment centers and you're like, you are the most unhealed asshole in the whole world. And like, you're mean to your staff. Like, right. So like, but I just tell people, like, focus on healing yourself, really focus on that. And you could find your life purpose. You probably get asked this, like, what's my life's purpose? Do you ever get asked that by maybe a sponsor? Like, what's my point? Like, what's my life's purpose?
I know a lot of people don't. They don't ask me what is my life's purpose, but they're fishing for purpose.
So I tell people this: I found my life purpose because I stepped out of self and I helped other people.
That's where purpose is found.
Correct. Like that's the human purpose, right? And so I stepped out of self and I put my care and all my attention into helping somebody else, and then all of a sudden everything else became successful.
I heard Naval Ravikant recently say, if you want to give a man purpose, let him have children, find God, or give him a mission.
Give me a mission. I don't want kids.
I've been blessed with all three.
Yeah, I know.
All three.
Yeah,
God, children, and a mission. But you really, those are the things that really drive a man's life. We need those things. It's not enough to sit around and watch TV and look at porn and order,
For sure.
DoorDash.
There was a time where I was sitting in the newsroom and I felt so empty. I felt so empty in that newsroom, and I was the main anchor, and I felt so empty. I'm like, this can't be it for me. I kept saying that. I was like,
because you had proficiency, but without purpose.
correct.
You're great. You're great at what you do.
I was like, I'd sit in my office. I'd be like, look out into the newsroom. I'm like, this can't be it for me.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be it for me. And I didn't know. And then like, it would about a year later, I left and I started this company. I'm like, I freaking knew it, man. I freaking knew it. I knew that I had more to live. I knew that there was more to this life for me.
You touched on something I want to come back to before we wrap up. We were talking about success, and I would love to hear from your mind. How do you define success? Because some people get caught up on it just being money.
Oh yeah. Success. Success to me, full stop. Last week, Dylan, my facilitator at Lewis Prison, came back from the prison and goes, I have something for you. I'm like, what's up? And he goes, this is from Joe. Joe's one of my porters who is incarcerated at Lewis Prison. He works at Art of Our Soul as a peer.
That's amazing.
And I read this. And it said to me, Brandon, I've been in prison a long time. I haven't been good in prison. I had the opportunity to work in Art of Our Soul over the past several months, and it's changed my life. I cannot thank you for saving me, and by saving me, building Art of Our Soul inside Lewis Prison for me to work every day. My family thanks you. Next Thursday, I get to go to Lewis Prison to watch him graduate the RSS program.
What's the RSS?
Recovery Support Specialist.
Awesome.
That is success to me. Every morning I wake up, I get a text message from Dylan and Carrie, my other facilitator who works at Perryville. Hey, you lovely, amazing humans. I hope, because they're up way before me because they're headed out to prison. Hey, you lovely, amazing humans. I hope you have the most beautiful day and you change lives today. Duh. I wake up. They work for me. They send me loving motivational quotes every morning. That is success. The money, all that follows that.
Yeah.
That follows that. Like, that is success. When I have the director of prisons look at me and he goes, you know, a lot of people say, Brandon, that they're partners with DOC, ADCR. They say they're partners with us. They're not. Art of Our Soul is our partner. You are our partner. Thank you. Like, what? Like, did he just say that to me? Like, that is success. Like, and again, Estel, everything else follows. Like, I can't believe, like, this is my life sometimes.
It's a beautiful place to be.
I can't believe this is my life.
We found a way to deliver something that's very valuable to the community.
Yeah. And the good ones, like, we're all in it for the right reasons. Like, we are. I don't have to convince that. I don't have to convince anybody.
No.
I know where I stand. I know what we do. I know what you do. Like, we're in it for the right reasons. And I'm pretty sure the definition of success to you, I'm going to guess, probably is similar to mine.
It's similar. For me, I would say, success is also defined by my ability to nurture the relationships with my children, right, and to be the type of husband my wife deserves. You know, my life's purpose is very much to be a billboard to those trapped in the darkness so that they can find the light. I want to be a road. I am. I don't want to be. I am a road sign lit up with lights for men in the dark, particularly men, but women too, but primarily men, to point them, the light's this way. Yeah. And it's great over here. And you are welcome, regardless of what your past looks like.
Right.
Every saint has a past, and every sinner a future.
Some of the best healers in our world, historically and currently, have experienced the most immense trauma and pain in the early stages of their life. Yeah. It's true. You cannot give what you have not experienced. So I want you to know, no matter how dark your life has been, like science teaches us, there's an equal and opposite reaction to everything. Mm-hmm. If you have experienced an immense amount of dark in your life, I promise you, you have the opportunity to experience that level of brightness on the other side. Step into it.
Well, I'm honored that you are one more of those guardians out there, welcoming and ushering people into the light, into better lives. I love that you're doing it inside of the prisons. A game changer for our society.
Yeah, thank you.
Brandon, if people want to find you, how can they find you?
Brandon Lee on Instagram, or just Brandon Lee on LinkedIn. That's all I got. You know,
perfect.
Or just Art of Our Soul, artofoursoul.com. Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking time and sitting here with us today.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Always.